Hello, welcome to day 2 and 3. Welcome to Zelda Sews. I'm going to be working on perfecting my sewing skills here this week, and I'm just taking you through some of the steps that I took way back when, and I still do now, to help me sew better quality garments. Okay. So we covered the different fabric types, the woven and the knits. I just generally covered that. Talked about the grain line. We talked about pre-washing fabrics. It is so important that you pre-wash before you start cutting into your beautiful fabric, because sometimes they shrink where you can't wear the garment at all. And you want to prevent that. If it's something that you think might shrink down even more, wash it again. I have washed fabrics a couple of times just to make sure I got all that out, and put it in a hot dryer and let it do its thing. Okay. Cutting fabric properly, I might have covered that a little bit. You want to make sure when you're using your scissors, if you're using scissors, that you're flat down. You flat down on your mat, like this. So you're cutting. Don't raise them up and jagger them, because that makes a jagged seam, and you don't want that. And if you use a rotary cutter, be careful with your fingers. It can cut you. Okay. I am going to finish up this top that we have over here. I'm going to take you over here to this, sew this up. And I talked about seam allowances. This is 3/8 of an inch seam allowance that Love Notions has for this particular top. 5/8 inches is usually standard garment seam allowances, but indie patterns, independent pattern companies, can mark their seam allowances the way they want. And some 5/8, some 3/8, some 1/4 of an inch. So it's a lot to remember, but that is one important area you don't want to forget, because it makes a difference on how your garment will fit. Okay, we're going to talk about finishing edges. I did talk about it a little bit. I finished well, no, I didn't do any finishing on this, but I did. No. Oh, yes, I did. My shoulders. I'm like, I know I used my serger. Serging is one way to finish your seam. It's not necessary that you have a serger. If you have one, it's wonderful. If you don't have one, you still can do these seams. You can use pinking shears. Let me show you mine. Okay. See how the edges are serrated? So it snips it off that way, and then you have a little end that's pinked. So this is an option. You can do French seams. That's when you take your fabrics and you put them wrong sides together, stitch, and then flip it over, and then stitch to encase that seam. And that way you have an all encased seam. I did that years ago because I had a garment that was fraying, and it was an accident. I did it by accident. I didn't know the term because I did not use patterns when I first started sewing. I was just buying fabric and said, okay, that looks good. That'll work. And then I pinned it wrong sides together and stitched up a top. Luckily, it was a little bit big because I like my fabric. I like the fabric on my body to not cling to me. I don't like clingy. So I turned it right side out, and after I turned it, it was already right side out. I turned it right side in and encased the the seam, and it was great. And I just started doing that for many of my garments and didn't even know the term French seam. So you can do this. All right, let me see what else I wanted to cover. Dun, 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 dun. There are pressing your seams. You want to press as you go. I'm not sure if I told you that, but press as you go. If you use a ham, if you use, this is my pressing cloth at the moment. I have another one in the closet, but this works for everything here. But you want to make sure you press your seams. It makes it look more professional, handmade. You don't want it looking homemade, like negatively. Okay, I think that's it. Let's go over here to the table and we'll talk about the rest of this top. We're down at the table here. I got to clean my mat. This is the classic tee. I put on the neckband here. I clipped it on. What I did, I had at the end, at the corners, let me just take this as a, I folded it in half with the seam in the middle. So I put a little notch right here. And then I did the same thing and put a little notch right here. I measured this also to make sure that this was even. I had it in 4s. It doesn't normally line up with your seam. So don't go by the seam on your shoulder to think that is the side seam, because it may not be. Okay, I'm going to take this to the sewing machine and stitch this down, and then I'm going to finish this with the serger. All right, we are here at the machine. My seam allowance, again, is 3/8 of an inch, so I'm using my seam guide ruler. 3/8 of an inch is right here, and I checked it already to make sure, but I know that this is 3/8 with the needle in the middle position. Okay, I can put this away. How are you? How's your day going, everyone? What are you sewing? I want to know. I want to know. This top will be ready for me to wear, and I know it's a dark top. I'm looking for the back. That's what I'm looking for, which is the back seam. Where did it go? Oh, it's right here. Okay. All right, and then just put this around here. I'm sure I'm going to be wearing another t-shirt soon. I'm taking my clip off, but I'm holding my fabric so that it doesn't move. I want it to be up here. Okay, and this is in underneath. I'm just slowly stretching it so that it doesn't have wrinkles or accidental wrinkles. Let's see, hold on. I cut it. And I like to check it. Make sure my seam went all the way around. Didn't miss anything. It's got a little pucker right here. Let me see. We'll leave it alone. I got another little pucker there. Oh, got them both in the same place. What is this? And okay, I missed an area right here. So I'm going to go back and stitch that. I'm going to go pull this up. All right, I unstitched this much of it because it was in. Now I have nice clean ends to start with over here and over here as far as it being 3/8 of an inch. Now I'm going to put it back under the machine. Looks like I got all this, but I'm going to be stretching that. I start back a little further on a stitch line. That way it'll just blend right in. I got to pucker again. Oh. Okay, that's all I'm doing with it. Took care of that. Got another little whatever. It's okay. Nobody's going to be looking that close. Okay, now I'm going to take this over to the serger and serge these so it's nice on the inside. But you don't have to do anything at all with this. You can go straight to the arms if you like. But I'm going to serge these and I'm going to go back over to the table. All right, back at the table. Now, I did not mark notches on this pattern, and that's the only thing that I tend to forget with the oh well, I tend to forget. Hold on, I'm distracted by a thread. So I told you what I like to do with my patterns. When I lay them on the table, the back of the pattern always faces the window and my front always faces my door. So I don't have notches on these, but I do have notches on this. So this is the back because it has 2 notches. And this is the front because it has 1. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to be doing right sides together. So this is the back one on the top. I'm going to place it like this. And oh, you know what I forgot to mark? Did I do it? Oops, I forgot to mark the top to where it goes. I'm going to put a little notch. Kind of, sort of. No. Okay, that's the middle. That's the notch right there. Be careful with your big scissors. They are out mowing, and they're going to be out mowing for a while, so I apologize for that. This is the back. Right sides together. And that will be that back. Oh, they stopped mowing right in the back here. Okay, I'm just going to go stitch this on, serge it, and then I'll be back to do the sides. Last step, yay, almost. I put me a neckband on here using this fabric, and if you would like to know how to do that, Rachel from the French Seams has a beautiful video on that, and if I can find it, I will link it down in the description box. All right, so now this, I hemmed the, I serged the sleeve, and I serged, the neckband, but there you can see it over there. Okay, now I'm going to flip this right sides together, and then I'm going to clip all the way down from the side seam all the way down to the hem. And this is why I like putting in the sleeve this way, because it's just quicker. All right, I'll just clip this real quick. You can see this. I'm going to finish sewing these side seams up. I'm going to hem it, and then you'll see it on. So I'll be back with the finished product. And here's the Love Notions Classic Tee. All done. I absolutely love it. I'm just going to put some pictures and video right here so you can see it. We learned about putting in sleeves flat. That was one thing we did. We talked about seam finishes, which helped improve my insertion of my, wait a minute, what did I just say? Anyway, I learned how to put in my my neck band better. I put in a little strip of binding in the back of it just because I know it's there, and it makes me feel more put together. I have my label in. I put in my sleeves, so learned about sleeves, neck binding, sewing a seam, just sewing a seam. You watched me sew, so if you have yours, you can take your machine and follow right along. You can do it. You can do it. Okay, what else did we do? I have a video on darts already, so if you haven't seen that, take a look at that. That was fun. And it was just things to help me be a better sewist in 1 week. And I say I am because I put in this neck binding. I struggle with neck binding completely. And I got it in. I had a little piece. Well, I don't know if you can see it. I unstitched an area where I caught the front bodice instead of the neck band. I caught it wrong and it flipped, and I unpicked that. I put the neck binding that I have on the neck in the back, in the front. So I had to unpick that. So your seam ripper is your favorite friend because Either you love it or you hate it. I hated it when I realized what I did and I just said, nope, go get your seam ripper, my favorite one. I went and sat in a room and I unstitched it and I didn't tear through my fabric. So don't unpick when you're upset. Get upset, get it out your system, take a minute or less than that, and then say, okay, friend, let's go spend some time together. That's what you do, because you don't want to seem rip angry either, because you'll punch a hole. You might punch a hole through your fabric because it's pointy. I paid more attention to what I was doing, and this classic tee is much better than the other classic tee that I made a while back, because it was really pointy at the corners, and this one is not. It went in nice. They both went in nice, and it feels good. It feels really good. So I hope you enjoyed perfecting sewing seams. I said it was going to be a week, but they broke it up so small on this paper that I have that it's not right. So I'm like, I did it all in two videos. So I hope you enjoyed watching this. It might have been a little all over the place, but that's me sometimes, and that's okay. That's just that's my week. That is my week. So you're not getting away without a scripture. No, no, no. Okay, I'm actually using my New English translation, and I saw this. This is a scripture that I memorized in King James and tried to remember it because I was not a nice person all the time at one time. Listen to this. This is Proverbs 15:1. A gentle response turns away anger, but a harsh word stirs up wrath. I was stirring up wrath at one time in my marriage that wasn't right, and God called me on it, and I don't do that anymore. I don't know if it's because the kids are out of the house or what. I'm not sure. But a gentle word. Remember those gentle words. And if you stuck around this long, please like and subscribe. It's free. Subscribe to this channel and you'll see more of me on videos. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the comments and you'll see me on my next upload. Bye for now.